Every Monday night, you are checking out Breakfast Super Raw.
Bon appetit as Don Tony and Mish dish out their opinions about the world of pro wrestling, sports, news, and pop culture. Breakfast Super Raw.
And now, your host, Mish and Don Tony.
I'm wearing a Seth Rollins shirt, and Mish is an eggplant. Oh, my God. Benjamin, now you know why I couldn't hold in the laughs. Oh, for everybody who was on, like, the other social media platforms outside of YouTube, they were watching Mish with a little bit of zany stuff. Oh, boy. We're going to have a fun show tonight, everybody. I want to thank you, as always, for the support. This is Breakfast Soup Raw. I am Don Tony, and join along with me is
Anthony Missionary Thomas. What's going on, DT? What's going on, everyone?
Not much. By the way, just a little disclaimer that we got to do before all the shows from now on. For anybody with trolls that wants to super chat stuff, but trolling, we say thank you for the contribution, but it will not be shown on the screen. I could take a joke, but if that's how you want to spend your money, please, by all means, do so. What the hell? What app is that?
It's
tell me off the show. Is it really Snap? We're going to have fun next week.
Yeah. They've graduated from just phones to actual computers now. So
nice.
There's a lot of cool stuff we can do. We can make animated Don Tonys and everything.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. Hey, congratulations, Big E, new WWE champion. Look, I don't understand why AEW fans that don't like WWE can't just be proud of AEW. They can't just be happy that their favorite promotion is on a roll, signed a couple of big names, content is decent. Why do you have to go the extra mile and say, oh, WWE's stepping it up a notch because of AEW? Here's a little breaking news for those that may not know about this, but this Friday's SmackDown that took place, for a minute I thought that cup you were drinking was also like finagled. I'm like, I don't know anybody with a cup that size. But but seriously, this past Friday SmackDown at Madison Square Garden, think of this, everybody. Think of Monday Night Wars. Think of the Attitude Era. Think of ruthless aggression. Think of everything. Oh, yeah. This Friday's SmackDown at Madison Square Garden was the biggest grossing SmackDown that they have ever had as far as a live gate goes. What does that mean? Madison Square Garden doesn't hold 30, 40, 50, 60,000 people. SmackDown had the highest revenue for a live crowd in the history of SmackDown.
Really?
The history of SmackDown. You know, before AEW signed Punk, before they signed Bryan Danielson, before they signed Malachi Black and some other names that are rumored very, very shortly, we talked about getting out of COVID. There is a year to a year and a half worth of catch-up. And we said repeatedly that the last 5.5 months of 2021 is going to be some of the most epic, if possible, the greatest 5 to 5.5 month span as far as wrestling entertainment goes. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. If WWE is starting to get a little bit of, sweat behind their back, if they want to sell a promotion, if they don't want to sell a promotion, whatever the reason is, we got some good shit going on. Just enjoy it. Period.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun lately. SmackDown was great. Raw tonight was a lot of fun. Big E hinting over the weekend that he was going to cash in his money in the bank, and he didn't bullshit. It was a fun show.
Yeah, I even wrote earlier today, there's a big difference between the word intend and the word will. I intend to cash in the briefcase, or I will cash in the briefcase. WWE carrying everybody's emotions on the strings. That was the formula back in the day, during the Attitude Era and Monday Night Wars especially, that you would bring people up in suspense all night long, all night long, all night long. And a lot of times it would not deliver. Tonight it did. Congratulations, Big E is the new WWE champion. I'm not criticizing.
That came out of the blue. Did you even expect it to actually go down like that? Because there was at no point that I expected him to try and cash it in, but the fact that he actually did and won the title, damn, dude, what a great Raw. What a great Raw. You know? Do you think they kind of hot-shot it a bit and could have used that at the pay-per-view? Or do you think that this was necessary for Raw?
Well, here's the thing. You and I have been talking about it for a couple of months now, that the WWE Draft was going to be in early October.
Right.
We obviously were not 100% sure of the date until WWE announces it. They announced it tonight that October 1st on SmackDown will be the beginning of the WWE Draft, and then it'll carry over to the October 4th Raw. Now, if people remember when Big E won the briefcase many, many, many months ago, what was the main event of Bobby Lashley? What was his championship match at that time? Who was his opponent?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my
Kofi.
head. Who was his opponent?
Kofi.
Oh, yeah.
And if you remember the storyline, he had beat the crap out of Xavier Woods.
Right.
You know, Kofi was like, "Yo, you did my boy wrong, and I'm going after you." And you had Xavier Woods have a little bit of going back and forth with Lashley. Then Lashley took on Kofi, and if everybody remembers, at that time we said, you don't need Big E to be drafted to Raw to use him before the draft. He's got the briefcase. All he's got to do is show up, and he could tease cashing it in. He could cash it in. But the one thing that we wanted, and if there was anything that I would have done a little different, I would have had this happen maybe a couple of months ago. I understand it was very, very difficult because then Big E would have been champion for the last month or so. But the thing is that right after Big E beat Kofi, if everybody remembers, when we did the recap, we said that Big E should have continued his assault. Lashley should have continued his assault on Kofi, and then Big E shows up on Raw. And then Big E completes the trifecta. Because remember, and people remember this, Xavier Woods holds a pin over the WWE champion.
Right.
However, non-title. Kofi holds a pin over the WWE champion, however, non-title. Big E would complete the trifecta, pin the WWE champion. The difference is this time it would be for the WWE Championship. So, you know, I only wish it would have continued that storyline. But you know what? I'm not complaining, man. I enjoyed this Raw. SmackDown was great. You know, WWE's problem.
That crowd was insane.
Yeah, WWE's problem is simple. They're too complacent. Because it's episodic TV, they don't want to treat every week like a pay-per-view or a big indie wrestling event. With AEW, it feels like a major indie wrestling event every single week. You got matches being put together with 1 week's worth of storyline build, and then the match happens, and then next week we go on to the next opponent. You know, that's why I said it last week. You know, when CM Punk, you know, the first Dynamite after the pay-per-view, and he says, as soon as his match was over in storyline, AJ says, what's next? Why not have Punk and Darby Allin go for a couple of more weeks? Why not have feuds? You know, Jericho MJF was kind of more by design because Jericho, they didn't want to have him start a program with anyone else. So, you know, WWE will draw out storylines 1,000 times longer for the most part. They'll milk it sometimes way too long. But in the end tonight, I mean, it was a decent Raw, and Big E is the WWE champion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. No, absolutely fucking amazed. I'm happy that Big E got it. It was a couple of big moments tonight, more than just Big E. I think we finally saw. I don't know if this is the end, but we saw the end of Baszler and Nia tonight. They have their match next week that they piped that in, and after the way that Nia came in there during the Charlotte and Shayna match, it was pretty much the writing was on the wall at that point, because she wasn't just interfering in the match; she was purposely interfering to screw up Shayna, and smiling and laughing afterwards. Also, Piper Niven, or I'm sorry, Doudrop and Eva Marie felt like that was the end tonight. I don't know if it is or not, but it sure did feel like the end of that. Doudrop beat Eva Marie single-handedly, very quickly, and it seems like that's the end of that feud. And we also got a little bit of a foretelling of the evolution of Karrion Kross, obviously citing a little bit from Sean O'Haire and referencing what a lot of people are talking about with him being buried under the roster. I thought it was a very interesting promo from Karrion Kross, and I do like the idea that he kind of leaned back more into his demonic side. You know, I mean, his name is Karrion, so it's like he leaned back into it, gave us the Sean O'Haire line. It kind of works with him, and I would like to think that Sean O'Haire would be happy with a guy like Kross, carrying that mantle forward.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, a couple of things. By the way, shout out to Courtney Summers. She loved Big E winning the championship tonight, but she also loved the other reason, and obviously it's Karrion Kross. Look, last week we told all of you out there, give Karrion Kross 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks. We talked about channeling a little bit of Sean O'Haire. But remember what we also said. He's not going to tell people to do very immoral things. He's not going to tell everybody out there, go ahead, cheat on your wife, cheat on your husband, cheat on it. It's okay. It's okay. You have needs. You have wants. It's all right. You're in a store.
Dude,
the economy's
totally
bad.
Okay,
you want that fruit, take it.
If he starts giving people tips on how to commit crimes, I'd be totally okay.
That's not happening. So that aspect of Sean O'Haire is not coming back. Listen, before anybody starts orgasming over this, no, he's not coming back with the leather jacket, and he's not going to have like someone else instead of Piper. They're not going to copy this. Basically, what Karrion Kross is doing is Karrion Kross is transitioning into what we said, give it 2 to 3 weeks. After 2 to 3 weeks, then we can revisit thing with Kross. I loved this tweet the other day. Courtney and I had a discussion off the shows the other day about Kross too, that his tweet saying that everybody has, they put on a mask from time to time, and it's what you do with it, or some people that can't take the mask off or afraid. That's why when I always say there's so many people that are tough on social media, but they won't even show you a picture of themselves. And a lot of them are these dirtbag wrestling news sites that hide under a regular name and this and that. And, there's a lot of dirtbags out there that like to, spit off at the mouth, and they're too embarrassed to show you what they look like themselves. So everybody wears a mask from time to time. But when you take that mask off and, you can't reveal the face underneath, they're the problem. Right. And, look, this is a great time to be a wrestling fan, man. Simple. And Karrion Kross, if anybody that thinks, that Scarlett's out of the company right now, she just signed a whole bunch of new memorabilia, that's going to be up for auction if it's not up already. Right. Right now they want to get to the draft. The draft in Saudi Arabia. That's it. Once the draft comes, that's where things turn the corner. If you notice, we've talked about it this year a couple of times, that the Raw after WrestleMania didn't do much of anything, and neither did the SmackDown. The Raw after SummerSlam didn't do much of anything. SmackDown didn't either, because Becky Lynch had already won the title at SummerSlam.
Well, the Raw after Smack.
Well, all I was going to say is that the Raw and SmackDown after the draft is where you're going to see things change. This year it's special circumstances, but next Saturday, you know, it's been interesting. Last week was 9/11, so I dedicated the show just looking back at 9/11, mostly in the world of wrestling and how things have changed and just, you know, the culture, you know, whether it's being a wrestling fan or just, you know, what you go through online or even out in public. But next Saturday, Mish is going to join me, and we're going to do a draft preview. We're going to discuss who we would like to see drafted on Raw or SmackDown. And next Saturday, we're going to do a contest. Everybody will have about 5 days to enter. And we haven't discussed exactly the details yet. We'll probably have you choose maybe like 10 people to Raw, 10 people to SmackDown. And you can't include champions, obviously. And, you know, you predict who you think is going to go to Raw or SmackDown, change brands, and you know we'll get it together by Saturday. So everybody is invited to tune in next Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is a reasonable time. It's just great time to be a wrestling fan. It's awesome.
Yeah, man.
You know, I'm not trying to be like this uber PC happy-go-lucky guy. No, but come on. I mean, we're getting good shit. Yeah. Leave it alone. And look, I guess we could talk about this quickly because this is probably going to be the most outdated in 24 hours. Even NXT. You know, last February 2020, not 2021, 2020, I said on a couple of shows, and Mish and I had a conversation in March of 2020, look it up, and we talked about how WWE is falling into a big problem with NXT, that it's got to be the breeding ground of the stars of tomorrow. They can't fall into that trap where, you know, because they're head-to-head with AEW on Wednesdays, there's this unnecessary pressure on the NXT stars. And Mish and I pointed it out the last 2 weeks, and you could feel, you know, through the TV that some of the pressure is lifted for some of these stars. You know, obviously they got to pull some type of a rating because this is primetime TV on the USA Network. They don't want to have 300,000 viewers. But the thing is, you know, we had a conversation about 6 weeks ago when they started talking about, you know, there's going to be this rebranding of NXT, and people were like, oh, they're going to change the name. It's no longer going to be NXT. Vince killed it. He's directing it. He's writing it. He's this, he's that. And we said it's going to be NXT 2.0. 2.0. And we even joked because he said AEW has a 2.0. But now they're focusing on NXT 2.0. Am I saying that they got the idea from us? No. I guarantee you, Mish and I are not the only two people over the last 6 weeks that said it'll be NXT 2.0. Remember when I said it's like Matt Hardy version 1, version 2? That's pretty much what NXT was going to be. So
do you feel that there's going to be a lot more changes that we can't even begin to guesstimate? Because, you know, initially when they were talking about the NXT rebranding, I initially thought it was going to be the logo, but then I brought up, I'm like, well, they're also going to have to change the paint job on the center. They're going to have to change the skirts. They're going to have to change the computer graphics. They're going to have to change the ring posts. Like, overhaul-wise, everything is getting a facelift. They're getting probably a new paint job and new colors.
Shirts, new merchandise.
Probably even the ring is going to change colors, too. It might. Yeah. So if that's not the only gist of it, I don't know. For some reason, I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more changes. Do you think that these changes could possibly involve maybe new tournaments for the championship, maybe some changes with the gold? And that's another thing too. Now I saw joking posts, photoshops of NXT changing their belt, their titles, and it's no longer a black strap. They have it with a white strap with the neon paint shots all over it and stuff like that, which I'm not too crazy on. But do you think that this is going to go further than just an overhaul with like the logos and the ring stuff? Do you think they're going to change the actual titles? And do you think that they might even change, like, bringing up new tournaments and stuff for new champions?
Sure. I think you're going to see many more themed events. You know, you'll see Halloween Havoc, return. You'll see some other, gimmick things. But, look, when we think of the spinner belt, we think of the John Cena, SmackDown, Super Cena, everything like that. You look at the wing belt, you think of Bret Hart. You look at this. So you're going to have a new era of NXT, a new phase. So why not tweak the belts? This way, when people look at the lineage of NXT, now I don't think they'll have some major changes to it, but it's all about merchandising. You sell new replicas, you sell shirts, you sell this, you sell that, and I think a lot of people would buy it. And to tournaments, sure. I mean, tournaments give some people opportunity that don't normally get it. The breakout tournament was a good example of that. I mean, some people who were in that breakout tournament, unfortunately have been getting squashed since that tournament. But I expect to be, a lot of changes, but a lot of it is going to go back to their roots. And like I said, not trying to brag. We just try to be real with everybody here. But we said all along, all this clickbait stuff that people are saying is just not true. It's just not true. And when it ends up not happening, they'll hide behind either WWE lied to everybody or they changed their mind. It's only so many times you could do that, obviously. But I'm excited for it. Now, Samoa Joe relinquishing the NXT Championship due to injury, I'll be honest with you. Unless I see footage of Samoa Joe in a hospital getting his knee, his shoulder, his ankle, his buttocks sliced open and operated on, I'm not buying it for a minute. I think that WWE had this plan all along. Look, we're going to bring Kross to Raw, and we need someone to be champion for a couple of weeks in the process because they tease too many people. They tease Joe with Cole, Joe with Dunne, Joe with this, Joe with that. And none of those matches, because people may even remember when Joe won the championship, we all said, all right, let's see how many matches he has. People were concerned about the injury thing. I mean, it sucks if they lied about his injury, which I think they did, and it's entertainment. It's entertainment. People don't, people that are newer fans never really experienced this, but WWE has done injury angles in the past to write off somebody who is going to be suspended, wellness violation. Or somebody.
Do you think it could be the concussion stuff, like when he cracked his head during that ad? Do you think it could be anything like that, like reoccurring?
It could be, but, I mean, Finn Balor was the champion, and for like 9 weeks he didn't defend that championship. You know what I mean? So, they had people keep the title for a long time.
I think the timing is convenient. I agree with you. I think the timing is very convenient, especially when you consider that tomorrow everything is changing new and you don't have the champion there on the big debut. It almost seems like it could be part of something, but at the same time, you don't want to make speculations of that because you don't want to speculate if somebody's injured or not.
Listen, I'll say it like this, and I am a huge AEW fan. I'm a huge wrestling fan, period. For anyone out there that thinks that WWE is doing all this and shocking everyone because of AEW's momentum, number one, they would not have released 80 people over the last bunch of months. They would have released a few and see what happens. When they released people, and remember the bloat word, it's not when someone gets released because of budget cuts, people the biggest problem, the biggest mistake a lot of people do is when they hear budget cuts, they think financial problems, and that's just not true. They cut down their budget. We're not spending $150 million on wrestlers anymore. We'll spend $100 million. So that means we have to eliminate a bunch of people off the payroll. Which ones do we get rid of? That's the biggest problem. But here's the thing. SmackDown, again, just had their highest grossing show. Not even Austin, not even The Rock, Triple H, DX, Mankind, everything you want to bring up from the Attitude Era and beyond. 2005, when they had Angle and all the WCW guys. And then the NWO came in and Ric Flair, the consortium, woo! And all the other shit that was going on. Shawn Michaels came back. And you look, Booker T, Rob Van Dam. You just go on and on and on. And last Friday was the biggest grossing SmackDown in history in a building that doesn't even seat 25,000 people. Yeah. Did you hear anybody online saying, I had to pay $800 for a ticket? Of course, some of the scalpers were charging crazy money. But WWE's ticket prices have always been bloated. So when you see, and this is something that nobody brought up today, over the last 7 days, the WWE stock is up almost 6%. It may not sound like a lot to you, but when you see $5, $6 a share, and you realize the millions and tens of millions of shares that are out there, WWE has been banking some crazy-ass coin the last couple of weeks, especially after AEW All Out. So when people say, oh, WWE is sweating, they're nervous because of AEW, look at it like this. And again, I'm not trying to start controversy, but look at it like this. You have AEW offering a lot of contracts to a lot of people, and the challenge for AEW is giving everybody time without having 15-man cliques and factions every match. So they're hiring a lot of names, and they're not done. WWE is cutting 60, 70 names, and yet they're still generating record revenue. They have record profits during COVID. That may sound like a negative.
It's because it's something that we've talked about over the years. It's, gosh, DT, I think you've brought this up back when there was a Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show, dude. The WWE roster has been bloated for so long. I mean, it's been a bloated roster for a very long time. And we know that there was, what was it, the annual WrestleMania, post-WrestleMania bus flips, right? They stopped doing that. This year was completely different. It's almost as if this year, instead of just hemorrhaging the bleeding, they decided to fix the problem. So when they got rid of as many people as they did on the roster, staff, et cetera, closed down 3 different branches of the company and consolidated it into one. This isn't a thing that WWE is doing to save or to save money. This is a way that they're doing this in order to make money. WWE has been making some powerful moves business-wise for the last year and a half, 2 years. Matter of fact, they were growing in the middle of this COVID fiasco, and they were making more money then than they were before that.
Exactly.
They've constantly fell upwards. I know a lot of people have used that term before for WWE. They fall upwards. They fail upwards. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a fail at this point. It seems like it's all part of a greater plan. And if WWE can now consolidate their roster and focus more on the talent that they have, instead of trying to find something for the other 70 people to do while other people are in the middle of storylines, this might be best for everyone involved.
Exactly. Like, why would you, like when people criticize WWE for letting Ruby Soho go, or Adam Cole or Bryan Danielson, you take a step back and you say to yourself, would these people rather her remain on SmackDown and not get the position that she should be getting in because you got Bianca Belair, because you got Sasha Banks, because you got Bayley coming back soon. Now you got Becky Lynch, and then you got all these others. Like Ruby Soho, she's got so many women that she's got a leapfrog to be at the top of her game. Why would you complain or mock WWE for releasing her when now she can be the spotlight in AEW? What is wrong with that?
And not only that, here's the other thing, too, that people don't think about. Vince doesn't want the wrestlers that have let go to go without doing their jobs, without learning their craft, without becoming a star, so that when WWE calls again, they can come back to the company with what they've gained. The fact that Ruby Soho is in AEW and she's doing well for herself and she's a focus right now is something that WWE couldn't afford to do at whatever length of time that they had stored for her. Ruby Soho in WWE was, like you said, she was down the line. So why would WWE, knowing that she's a talent, hold her down, pay her money to just sit in back and catering when they can let her go, save that money, and then allow her to go be the star that she's destined to be? Like, I don't see how WWE is the villain in that scenario.
Absolutely. You know, I ended up playing the David versus Goliath on Thursday.
Yes.
I played it on the Thursday show, and people had never heard it before loved it. And I said, just replace AEW, replace TNA and Dixie with AEW Tony Khan. And you see, number one, Tony Khan is not making the same mistakes as Dixie Carter did. And number two, Tony Khan's got to be careful not to make the same mistakes Dixie Carter did. Look, do I think WWE and AEW would ever replicate 1998, 99? No, because just there's too many ways to watch wrestling other than just live television. Viewing has changed, you know, so you'll never replicate 10 million viewers on TV, whatever it was. But, you know, I've been saying this a lot the last couple of weeks, and I brought it up even on 9/11 too. Just as far as like how things have changed in 20 years, some for the good and some not for the good. But as far as a wrestling fan, and I'm sorry for repeating myself, but when you look back at 1999, 2000, around that time, and I liked ECW, my friend Joey liked Raw, my friend John liked Nitro. And we would all hang out, and we would go to wrestling events together, and this person would love WCW, this person would love Raw. ECW was my number one. But the one thing that we all had in common, that we bragged that we were wrestling fans. And I brought it up even on Saturday when Raven and Diamond Dallas Page showed up on MTV, and Diamond Dallas Page hits him with a stop sign. Everybody's like, wow, that's fucking awesome. Goldberg shows up on Leno. Steve Austin shows up on Leno. Bischoff and Hogan take over Jay Leno. You got VH1, and you have Jericho showing up there, and you have this person here. It didn't matter what fed. Everybody bragged that they were a wrestling fan. You'd go to school, even if you hated Raw, even if you thought DX was garbage. You go up to your teachers, suck it. Hey, Principal Jones, suck it. Suck it. I got 2 words for you. We bragged. Now,
Charlotte, did you catch that? Charlotte did that tonight.
Oh yeah. Nia was doing like
when Nia was coming down there.
Yeah, Nia had like a. Okay. I'm not trying to be controversial. Nia had like a little bit of a lesbian response, because when Charlotte went like this, like showing her crotch,
right?
Nia's like, ew. Yeah. I thought that was good, man. But and she's you know, just enjoy being a wrestling fan.
Not bougie at all. Yeah.
I hate. See, this is the thing I was trying to make a point before, and I'm sorry if anybody got offended by this, but yeah, you might have gotten offended by the Charly doll. By the way, a certain friend of the show that works for WWE that sent me that gift box last week, send me a couple of Charlies, please. Mr. Choco Monsters, welcome aboard. Choco! Welcome aboard. But, you know, I wrote this earlier. You know, I'm watching the live fans in attendance, you know, and they're having fun. They're yelling, they're cheering. Everybody's got smiles in their faces. And I look at social media, and because someone says, look, I like WWE, I'm not an AEW fan yet. What are you, stupid? I don't want to curse tonight. What are you, retarded? What are you, stupid? What's wrong with you? How the fuck can you not like AEW? What's wrong with you? What are you, stupid? What's wrong with you? What are you, moron? You said, and that's something that really sucks in 2021. You know, that's the one thing that I hate more than anything else. You know, not everybody likes AEW. Not everybody likes WWE. Tonight, Raw had a decent show. I was entertained. Yeah. You know, and
well, I hope that this might be the wake-up call. Honestly, look, I'm obviously more of a WWE fan than AEW, and that's not a knock on AEW. It's just WWE's been in my life a lot longer. But hopefully, the latest change of things, hopefully the gravitas that has gone towards AEW with the signing of Punk and Bryan Danielson and Ruby Soho and Adam Cole, and obviously the rumor mill stirring about at least 3 or 4 more WWE talents that are rumored to eventually go to AEW. Yeah. Hopefully this starts steering the ship towards more entertaining TV.
Yeah.
I mean, look, let me ask you a question, and then maybe somebody's brought it up for Tuesday, and I don't mean to step on any toes, but I think we're at the point now that WWE can actually get rid of the brands. Not saying that they will, but they could get rid of the branding, because now in 2021 they do have a competition. They do have something that the fans are split on. They do have a loud voice of fans that enjoy WWE and a loud voice of fans that enjoy AEW. And the only reason that the brands were created was so that WWE could have competition with itself. What do you think?
I disagree.
Oh, okay.
The only reason why I disagree is this. Fox's TV deal is massive. And Roman Reigns being the head of the table, the leader of SmackDown, if you get rid of the roster split, even though he could be the focal point on SmackDown,
sure,
they have a hard time even getting Tony Storm on that show. They have a hard, sure, now they could put Tony Storm on Raw, I get it. But the thing is that Fox, there's an identity there, and you have certain storylines and certain wrestlers. See, this is the thing that a lot of people, I think they fail to understand. Vince is the be-all, end-all as far as creative goes.
Right.
And when I see people repeatedly saying, wow, SmackDown is awesome and Raw sucks and Bruce should be fired, and I'm like, wait a minute, but Bruce writes for SmackDown too. Like,
right.
What difference?
That's what I'm saying is, don't you think it would open up the door to having bigger stars on both shows?
Yeah, but I think Fox
instead of having it as, I was just going to say, instead of having it branded as Fox wrestlers, having WWE branded as Fox and USA allows Bobby Lashley to show up on SmackDown, allows Roman Reigns to show up on Raw. Not necessarily saying that they won't stick to their respective shows, but now you've opened up the doors, especially storyline and creative-wise, to having these SmackDown primary and these Raw primary wrestlers switch shows here and there.
Right, but I think also with wellness, I think that WWE, a lot of wrestlers, I don't think, if they got paid extra, maybe. But I think a lot of wrestlers are a lot happier now working one brand a week instead of going to Raw and being in Texas or Boston and then flying 1,000, 1,500 miles to be, for SmackDown a couple of days later and then flying another crazy amount of miles to be, I think, getting paid. See, this is the thing I think a lot of people should remember also, that, when you think of the salaries in WWE and you realize that these wrestlers only wrestle for one brand for the most part, except if you're the...
Yeah, but they don't have to do house shows anymore, so they're traveling
They do have to do house shows. Right now, they're super shows. But for the most part, when there's a week where there's no super show, it's great to only have to work SmackDown, and then you could go home for 4 days, 5 days, and then you fly back. I think it's wellness also. And, when people, that's why I have nothing against Murphy. I have nothing against Murphy, and I'm sorry for singling him out. But when he did the video about him being in jail for X number of years, I'm saying to myself, you know what? In jail, they pay you 50 cents a week. I don't think you got 50 cents a week to work for WWE. And he's working during an era when he only has to work one brand. And a lot of weeks, he would just show up. Yeah, it sucks to be in catering. Guy is uber talented. You don't want to waste the prime of your years sitting in catering, even though you're getting paid. But I think it's a lot with wellness also. I think the brand split, they may relax maybe some of the, back and forth. And with Survivor Series coming up, you're good to see wrestlers go on both brands. What I want to see, and you and I touched on this already, what I want to see is who is going to represent Raw, who is going to represent SmackDown. Are we going to have something where Sonya Deville represents one brand and Adam Pearce represents another? That's the one thing that I am curious to see what they're going to do, because they're not doing separate GMs on both shows. I personally thought they were leading that way when Sonya was going against Adam Pearce a little bit in the past. But it's going to be interesting to see. I do not want the War Room crap again. That was stupid.
Right.
But look, we'll preview it next Saturday. Fork you, man. Go fork yourself. This guy. So we got the draft in 2 weeks. So now, just to wrap it up really quick, Samoa Joe giving up the belt. Tomorrow they're going to do a fatal four-way. It's going to be Kyle O'Reilly versus Pete Dunne versus LA Knight versus Tommaso Ciampa. Fatal four-way match to determine your next NXT Heavyweight Champion. Who do you want to see take it? And you could choose none of them.
Tommaso Ciampa.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Ciampa.
Think a little bit like similar ages, Joe, and veteran guy and leader of.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have a feeling that if you're going to bring in NXT 2.0 and you want to do something different, you're going to establish it with somebody like Ciampa so that you can have young stars run roughshod over him in the future. I think you're going to have to establish NXT 2.0 with older people with names and then have new talents come in and beat them.
It's going to be funny if YouTube recommends this as a thumbnail later on. So I'm going with Pete Dunne. When Joe beat Kross for the title, I've been saying since that night I'd like to see Pete Dunne get the belt. Now, we don't know if they've negotiated a new contract with Pete Dunne. See, this is what a lot of people need to remember. You know, WWE's not in financial disarray. So Johnny Gargano's contract is coming up. If they think that they can do some stuff with Gargano, they'll negotiate a new deal. If Gargano wants it to say, maybe he wants to leave. I don't know. Pete Dunne, the same thing, or anyone else. You know, people need to understand something. Also, if you've been paying close attention to WWE for the last year and a half, Mr. Marshmallow Man, he's crazy. I gotta look straight, not look there.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
You know,
the biggest thing for the last year and a half is that the WWE wrestlers, NXT, the thing that they were most uncomfortable about was being released. Nobody said that the culture in the locker room is toxic and everybody's stabbing each other in the back. And this person's talking about this person behind their back, and you don't hear about any backstage altercations. If anything, it feels like people are closer together, especially after a couple of tragedies. You have them playing video games together. They're doing the bump. They're doing this. They're doing that. And Andy Lou, welcome to the family, Andy.
Welcome, Andy.
Oh, man. But, the release part about it was the biggest concern. But the locker rooms are not, toxic where everybody's out to screw everybody else. So WWE, they're not hurting in the purse department. So if you could contribute, you probably have a little bit of a better chance now because there's 80 less people on the payroll that were competing for your job. For directly or indirectly.
Well, that's got to feel wonderful for the people that were, in NXT and stuck in NXT catering. Mm-hmm. I mean, geez, how bad did that feel? So, no, I'm glad that people are being moved up. I'm glad that the rosters. Who do you? Well, I guess we'll be talking about that Saturday. Never mind. I was going to say, who do you think from NXT is definitely going to come up there? And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about Saturday. It's going to be fun. So Saturday, tune in. 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll preview the draft, make a couple of predictions, take your predictions. We'll do a contest. We'll also talk about SmackDown and Rampage a little bit. I bypassed it this week because obviously 9/11, 20th anniversary, big deal. Right. It was a big deal and
Did
still
you go
is.
to the ceremony?
What ceremony?
The World Trade Center ceremony?
No. Friday, They laid Daphne to rest, even though she was cremated, as we talked once before. A little screenshot from the service, which was beautiful. Friday, that kind of like drained me, in the head a little bit. Friday, I spent it with family. So Saturday, it being 9/11, it was more of like reflection. And, it's just, it was just a lot.
I wasn't sure because I know I had friends. I mean, I had friends here in Chicago that left to go to that ceremony. So there's a few people that took flights up there. And obviously one of the stories with that was Zelina Vega.
Yes.
One of the speakers.
She was on TV. She was on
memorial.
TV here in New York. She was 10 years old at 9/11, and her father worked in the towers. Her father died at 9/11. Where she used to live, not too far from where I live. Pretty close, actually.
I didn't know she was a local New York girl. I wasn't even aware of that.
I always knew she was from New York. I didn't know what part of Queens, though. Then somebody filled me in with Google Maps, and I'm like, all right, I don't need to know the exact block and house and all that. But SmackDown this past week, I mean, give props to the Garden crowd for their assist in helping Becky Lynch go over that hurdle. Even though it may be a temporary one, but she went over that hurdle. And look, when she comes out wearing the coat that she does with the glasses, the crowd plays into it. So, it's going to be interesting what they do in that match, because a lot of people are very, very bitter at WWE for the way they treated Bianca Belair. And I think in the end, people are going to see that she will do just fine. I mean, I
like the fact that Becky is embracing a little bit more of her heel nature, and she's doing an okay job with it. Because, I mean, for the longest time, she was the female Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Now she's the female Rock.
Yeah, I could see that a little bit.
Especially when she talks in the third person.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but look, Becky Lynch is helping Bianca Belair get even more over. It diverts the attention, but it's going to be interesting to see how to handle it. By the way, this is what I wanted to tell everyone. Expect stipulations to be added to a lot of these matches. It should start this week on SmackDown, carry over next week. I know, better late than never, but it is Extreme Rules, and as of right now, there's no stipulations for any of the matches. But there are going to be stipulations, and a match that they may add is Natalya and Tamina versus Nikki Ash and Rhea versus Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox for the tag team titles. That's a match to keep on the radar that may actually be added. But now you ask yourself, did WWE do an audible here? Because we all heard that it was going to be AJ Styles and Omos having a rematch with Orton and Riddle at Extreme Rules. Could it possibly be now, because of the title change, that maybe you go with Lashley and MVP versus Riddle and Randy Orton at
You don't
Extreme
think there's going to
Rules?
be a rematch for that title?
It could, but I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, why keep Randy Orton and Riddle at ringside for the championship match? I understand Randy Orton was in the match, but Riddle, this focus was on the heavyweight championship. Riddle, I understand he's rooting for his friend, his best friend or whatever, but still, they kept reminding everyone that they're tag champs, and Randy Orton RKOing MVP. And I don't know. I think that interaction is a little bit much for this to just blow into two separate directions. Or could they? Do you think they may have a three-way? Maybe we have Omos and Styles versus Orton and Riddle versus MVP.
I think the tag team stuff has been put on hold only because at the end of the day, the world the championship takes precedent over the tag team belt. It really does. So if they bypass Big E winning the belt to focusing on the tag team championships, I don't know. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I think Big E needs to immediately be re-challenged They need to have the rematch for the belt. Now, what they're going to do with Orton involved with all that, I'm not sure. 3-way sounds good. And there's always time that they can go back to the tag team titles. But now you've just made a major play by making Big E champion on a Monday Night Raw. You can't just ignore that.
Well, we'll answer a bunch of super chats now because quite a few came in and a lot of them had to do with Big E. So we're on the topic of Tyler, what he was asking, and Tyler was at the show. So I hope you had a great time. I mean, I'll tell you, the crowd came across on the TV very, very loud. And yeah, it's awesome, man. It is awesome to see Big E get this moment.
Yeah.
He's earned it.
Yeah, no.
He's earned it. Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of you that go back with me many years will remember when I used to talk about this. And I think it's worth bringing up again right now. Back when Big E was still with Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee, and Big E was like this all the time, just looking like he's constipated, just never showed any emotion. And then we would watch these little YouTube clips or Facebook clips, and it's him backstage, him outside the building, and charismatic, funny, making everybody laugh, making everybody feel good. And sure, the New Day gimmick comes in, but you saw this really likable, charismatic guy. And I remember me talking about it. You talked about it on Soup, and a lot of people talked about it. Like, we need that Big E on TV. Yeah. And
he was great tonight. Yeah. Him antagonizing Orton and him antagonizing Bobby Lashley beforehand. Oh, that was great. Him just looking at Randy Orton and kissing the box, kissing the briefcase was fucking hilarious. It really was. I was laughing my ass off at that.
Big E is
Big E understands. He's a very charismatic guy. He's definitely somebody who's never been boring. Like, whether you like Big E in the ring or you don't, or you're a fan of his, or you liked him better with New Day, regardless, the guy by himself or with other people has never been a boring guy. He's entertaining. So to give him the chance at the title and to have him run with the title, I mean, doesn't he deserve it at this point?
Yeah. Welcome to the family. It's Kings. He deserves it. And this is a guy that people, when they see the way he acts on TV, very, very goofy, happy, with his hips and even like being a little corny sexual wise, on the ropes. It's Big E.
Right.
It's like an extension of how he is outside the ring. And, I like that WWE allows him to be like himself, just amped up to a different level.
Yeah.
So, Tyler, yes, Big E versus Lashley could very well happen at Extreme Rules. It makes sense that it should happen. We'll see what happens. The fact that they still have Omos, and AJ Styles really, really prevalent in this, and people keep pushing Omos and Lashley going at it. WWE's been doing it on their social media over and over and over again. They can always go that direction, but I'm with you. Especially since they're going to announce some stipulations. Yeah, do a rematch, Big E versus Lashley at Extreme Rules. Why not? Why it's the easiest pay-per-view to have them have a rematch, because they could do no DQ. They could do, some type of weapons. They could do some gimmick. It doesn't have to be straight up WrestleMania. I mean, look at Nikki Ash today. Nikki Ash, I think this might have been her first ever clean victory since she's been doing a superhero gimmick as far as singles, and the referee fucks up the decision.
Right.
I saw her pin Tamina, and I hear Tamina's music, and I'm like, I felt bad for Nikki Ash tonight. So, but Tyler, yeah, we'll get back to Nikki in a little bit.
Sure.
𝗕𝗄𝗄, much love. Do we think it was done for Survivor Series so they could have New Day versus the Bloodline?
Oh.
I like that. I like that idea. 3-on-3.
That's not bad.
The problem
That's not
is
bad. That's an interesting idea.
Here's the only problem with it. We're probably going to see the Raw Tag Team Champions versus the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Right now, that would be Usos versus Riddle and Orton. So that, if you look at the past bunch of Survivor Series, that's usually how they go. So unless there's a tag team title change, and I don't see Riddle and Orton losing those belts anytime soon, maybe the Usos lose their titles. And if the Usos lose their titles, then yeah, you could see it. But I tell you, what an interesting scenario now. If you have Big E versus Roman Reigns after all, and now no titles on the line, because it's not winner take all. You know, when Big E won that briefcase, you know, the one thing that was lacking was him showing up in every week, and you know how he is with the briefcase, licking it and kissing it and maybe taunting Roman Reigns, didn't do it. Taunting Bobby Lashley, didn't do it. So now, after all of this, and we can end up getting Big E versus Roman Reigns after all. It's pretty wild.
Sure.
But, and thank you very much. He heard the Father Tony sermon from Thursday. So, and he loved your edits with organ music and
stuff. Thank you. Appreciate that.
16 and a half years ago. So, so Chris Silva, you know, echoing what we said to Tyler earlier, I think Big E could very well take on. He's got to take on Lashley. No, the more I think about it, he's got to.
He has to.
He has to. He has. Big E's got to wrestle on that.
They have to have the remake, the rematch. It would be unfair to people that like Bobby Lashley, and it wouldn't make sense storyline wise. You know what? Even if Big E wins again, it has to happen. You know what I mean? It has to. Because I think that would actually hurt a lot. I mean, let's play devil's advocate for a second. Big E, Lashley, Extreme Rules, Lashley wins. Now what?
Exactly. And the thing is, with Extreme Rules only being 2 weeks away, because I think it's September 26th, you have to give a match to Big E, and there is no other opponent right now. There really isn't. So you got to keep him on the card. And shout out to '𝗲𝗄. Powerhouse Mish, greater than Powerhouse Hobbs.
Thank you, 𝗲𝗄. What do you think? What do you think would happen? How would we react, or how would we treat it if Bobby Lashley takes the belt back from Big E?
You know, I don't acknowledge.
I mean, we say no, but they do some crazy shit.
I know,
lately.
but I don't acknowledge the wackos that still say that WWE do not treat black wrestlers with respect. I mean,
it's a black wrestler winning it from another black wrestler.
Right. I mean,
so they can't really do that.
WWE, for way too many decades, did not have a black heavyweight champion. And looking back on it, it is embarrassing, without question. But when I look at Bobby Lashley winning the championship, and maybe it's easier for me to say because I'm white, but when I see Bobby Lashley winning the championship, or I see Big E winning the championship, I don't look at it, oh, black guy won the title. I don't look at it like that. I look at a guy who has earned his shot. But a lot of people will put color in it. Now, I understand somebody who is black who brings it in there because they felt very mistreated for many decades following their favorite wrestlers. And they have every right, and I agree. But it gets to a point now that when a white wrestler jobs out in 30 seconds and then a black wrestler gets jobbed out in 30 seconds, right away a lot of people bring up the race card. And I think it's very unfair in this day and age. So if Big E loses that championship in 2 weeks, I think all of the loud, unnecessary noise comes out to play unnecessarily. And no, I don't think I don't think they keep it on him to avoid that. I just think it's too special of a moment right now. You know, and people need to remember, even though this happened on Raw, so did Bobby Lashley beating The Miz. Look at our intro. I mean,
Right.
it teased The Miz versus Bobby Lashley. And Lashley, won it on Raw. So, no, I don't think it goes off of him anytime soon. Now, this next question, very, very interesting. Karrion has said this. I saw a lot of others in the chat room say this. Very, very, very fascinating. More and more people think that at minimum Xavier Woods should turn heel. Now, do you remember when we were fantasizing many, many months ago, I said, what do you think about the New Day having a match against each other? The only difference was we had it as Kofi. Remember you said, what if Kofi beats Lashley for the championship? And I said, what about the idea of Big E cashing in on Kofi, or we have the New Day battle it out, 3-way for that title? Do you see?
I remember.
Do you see any of them turning heel right now?
Dude, I thought tonight. Okay, let me explain something. So, while watching Raw tonight, and you had that weird moment after Big E came out there at the beginning of the show and kind of staked his claim and everything else like that on Lashley, MVP, and Riddle and Randy. There was that moment where him and Xavier and Kofi were walking together, and Big E pointed out, hey, Kofi, we're also in your hometown. And for some reason, that triggered like a fucking sense in my head. And I'm thinking, why would you bring that up? Like, that's a weird thing to bring up. That's almost like you're foretelling something's going to happen with Kofi in his hometown. Now, at the end of the night, nothing happened. So my radar was completely off. But it was a weird thing to say. And I know that Kofi's proud of being a Boston boy and stuff like that, and that's cool. But it was just a weird timing element that was like, why would you draw attention to that now? So, anyways.
Shout out to Ray Guns.
Thank you, Ray.
You know what? I'll throw this curveball because we like throwing out ideas here. If Big E does not take on Lashley right now, maybe they say knee injury because they were teasing the knee, when he took on Big E tonight. What do you think about Keith Lee showing up as a heel that you and I talked about many months ago? Let him be pissed off at the world. Let him beat the living shit out of Big E. And we have Keith Lee versus Big E. Maybe you could even do that as quickly as Extreme Rules. Or,
I would absolutely love that.
You could even do it, and a lot of people wanted to see MVP manage Keith Lee. Maybe Big E takes on Bobby Lashley at Extreme Rules, defeats Bobby Lashley, and before we can even think about it, Keith Lee shows up and beats the living shit out of Big E. And Bobby Lashley walks out with MVP and Keith Lee. What do you all think about that?
Yeah.
Post it in the comment section.
I'm in favor of anything putting Keith Lee back into the limelight. I think Keith Lee is a guy that is an absolute sleeper hit. I think he's a guy with a lot of talent that needs to be out there some more. I know that we're changing things up. I would like to think that he would come out at Extreme Rules, but I'm almost expecting him to come out during the draft, DT.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm expecting.
Draft is in 2 weeks. Less than 2
No,
weeks.
I understand that, but I'm not expecting him to pop up at, well, you know what, maybe he does pop up at the pay-per-view without a show, and then the roster or the draft comes, and then he gets dedicated somewhere. Yeah. So, yeah, that could still work.
Yeah, 17 days. That's the draft. So, Extreme Rules happens, then the draft happens. So, I'd like to see Keith Lee. In fact, that's who I'm pitching for. Let me know in the comment section who you'd like to see. Other than Lashley, who would you like to see Big E feud with first? There is no wrong answer, so ask away. Shout out to Crazy Cruiserweight. Thank you very much for the main event results. And by the way, shout out to everybody, not only those who watch on the replay, but everybody who's live tonight. Thank you. I know there's a lot of shows streaming live tonight. Very big Raw, very important outcome tonight. So you're spending your time with us. We thank you. And Mish thanks you as well. I'm gonna by next week.
Thank you guys.
By next week, you'll see me doing that too. So
sure.
Jackson Riker over Drew Gulak and 𝗕𝗲𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗀 𝗕𝗏 and Angel Garza. Finally, they team up and they beat the Lucha House Party.
Go ahead.
Finally, they team up. Cousins.
Yeah.
I want to see that tag team on. I actually want to see them on SmackDown. When they do the draft, I mean, we'll talk the draft next week, but those are two guys I'd like to see on SmackDown. I could see them tearing it up against the Mysterios, tearing it up against the Usos, tearing it up against the Street Profits. There's a lot of people they could tear it up with. So I'm very, very glad to see those two guys teaming up together finally.
Good.
And of the four tomorrow, Crazy Cruiserweight's gut tells him that LA Knight will become NXT champion. I tell you, man, there are quite a few people out there that I want Pete Dunne. LA Knight just
Ciampa.
lost. Well, LA Knight just lost the $1 million championship.
Right.
And it felt awfully quick. So, yeah, I could see that happen. What do you think?
LA Knight would be nice, but I'm not expecting it. I just don't know if the company believes in LA. I don't know. I just have this weird feeling that LA Knight is not as appreciated as I think a lot of fans appreciate him in NWA or something. I just don't. I don't know. I don't have the belief that NXT is behind LA Knight. It's a new NXT though, so who knows?
Yeah. I wanted to shout out Philip Maffey and Roger Rubio. Somehow your super chats did not pop up on Saturday. So I don't ever forget. And I was going over everybody's over the weekend. I saw that. So I wanted to show you some appreciation. Oh, I got to mention this. If anybody, because I'm transparent, been that way since 97. Well, before that, just you didn't know me at that time. We raised about $500 last Thursday in tribute to Daphne. I said I would match it. Even though YouTube took their cut, I came up with $1,000. It was like $980, so I just rounded off to $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, we raised almost $1,000 that night.
That's awesome.
What I did, if you go to my Twitter at Don Tony D, you'll see the link. You could click on and see for yourself. I contacted the family. I wanted to send flowers, and they said, thank you, but we just got like a couple of floral arrangements. In lieu of flowers, send a donation to the Concussion Institute, the one that Daphne was talking about, or if you want to donate a tree in Shannon's memory. And the funeral home, I looked into it, and they truly do plant trees. They plant trees a lot in cemeteries and other areas, and they plant it in the name of someone who has passed. So I donated 10 trees from all of us, and it is on the funeral home's website. You'll see it right there. So half of that money went, a little less than half went towards donating 10 trees in Shannon's name. This week, I'll donate the other half to that Cancer Institute, and I will post the receipt and the link so you could see it for yourself. And I thank you, everybody who tuned in. I thank you, everybody.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was an emotional night. It went 3 hours, and, a lot of people, I got some DMs from some people I had not talked to in 10, 15 years, and who watched it and thought it was beautiful. Vince Russo also did a really, really touching tribute as well. And I wanted to mention him because I know he gets an unfair shake by a lot of people. Some, he does to himself. I'm not going to deny, but, he did a really touching tribute to her. And, check it out if you guys want to. So, but, Psycho, I can't do it without all of you also. But much love, much love. Rojo Bear 24. That's funny you say that, man. He says, what if Goldberg beat Big E for the belt at Saudi Arabia? It ain't happening.
Oh,
they learned their lesson from the
horrible
field.
Rojo.
No. But I tell you, and I blame this more on WWE and Goldberg being so cheap and stringent with their contract. Goldberg has already used up his 2 matches for 2021.
Right.
He's doing an extra match in Saudi Arabia, and it's probably going to be against Bobby Lashley. No titles on the line. But I tell you, if there was ever a reason for somebody who could have showed up tonight, got a little revenge on Bobby Lashley, and then probably would have came out looking great after Big E winning that championship. If you think of the storyline from the last pay-per-view, Goldberg should have showed up tonight after the match was over. Goldberg could have speared Bobby Lashley after what Lashley did to his son, and then he would have been laid out. Big E would have came out, pinned the WWE champion.
We don't want Goldberg to be in a title picture.
No, he's not in a title picture.
Wants.
Goldberg specifically said that it's not about titles. He wants Lashley's soul. Goldberg could have cost Lashley the title tonight, and that would have been the perfect reason for Lashley to want to beat the living crap out of Goldberg in Saudi Arabia.
What if Goldberg costs him the rematch? What if we go through that?
To quote Rocky 2,
costs him the rematch.
To quote Rocky 2, there'll be no rematch. Goldberg won't take on Big E. It's not about championships.
Goldberg not Big E. What if Goldberg costs Lashley the rematch? Not Big E.
You could do
in the rematch
that's an excellent
Lashley
idea.
And Big E.
You know what?
Right.
You make sense. Extreme Rules. If they do a no DQ stipulation, Goldberg could show up, spear him, cause Lashley to lose. And
even if it is a DQ, that could still end the match anyways, even if it is a DQ, no matter, even if Bobby Lashley wins the match but loses the title, Goldberg still cost him that. Right. And now you have a real reason to have Bobby Lashley and Goldberg go at it again.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. The more you think about that, Goldberg showing up at Extreme Rules, I like that. I like that. I know a lot of you don't like Goldberg, but you're going to get a little bit of him for at least another year. It's not a big deal. Go walk the dog, make a hot pocket, take a leak, take a crap, get your work ready for tomorrow, do your homework, go watch OnlyFans. You know, like do something else for those couple of minutes. And then you go back. Goldberg didn't even pass your TV. And like, Goldberg was on? Oh, I didn't even know. That's it. Don't worry about it. It's like Reginald. You know, Reginald, they do the chase today. My God, so many people got triggered last week because Jeff Hardy ran after a belt. Oh, my God. What did we say on the show last week? Jeff Hardy's hanging out in the back. Hey, Jeff, you want to run after Reggie for the title? Yeah, I'll do it. People are like, oh, he's buried. That's it. That's buried. Look, they might as well have Jeff Hardy do that. Oh, my God. This is crazy, man. That is just nuts. It's just amazing how good that shit looks. But, Courtney, you got the Daphne pick. Good. I'm glad. Everybody, contributed big that wanted a photo. I sent them out. Everybody should have them by now. So if not, give it a couple extra days because some of you live a very, very long distance away. So it's going to take a little extra time for you all to get it. So Scott Woodford, what's up, brother? How you doing? Long time no
speak.
Scott.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good, I think. I don't want to speak for Mish. Mr. Avatar tonight.
Yeah, I'm just futzing around with the program.
Oh, it's fine. Everybody's getting a good laugh out of it. But I hope you're doing good, Scott. Once in a while, not gonna lie, I don't think about you every day. But once in a while, I say to Mish, hey, how's Scott doing?
Right. And I answer.
He's a nut. He's a nut. Oh, man. Shout out to Ray Guns 101. Much love, my friend. 8 years.
Thank you,
Long
Ray.
time.
Yeah.
Chris Silver, do we think that Drew McIntyre will be drafted to SmackDown and the one to beat Roman Reigns for the Universal title? Yes or no? He'll be drafted to SmackDown. He will not beat Roman Reigns for the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much a guarantee Drew McIntyre shows up. And trust me, don't be surprised if Sheamus or Jinder follows Drew McIntyre. People be like, oh, Drew's going to SmackDown. Good. Get him away from Jinder and Sheamus. Ooh, something tells me one of them is going to be drafted to SmackDown also. So, yes, Drew will be drafted. Is that Shrek?
I don't even know.
You know what it looks like? That looks like the creepy guy that posed with Britt Baker. Yeah, did you see that photo floating around of that fan and his wife with Britt Baker?
Marty Scurll?
No. Britt Baker, they did like a meet and greet, and this fan took a picture of Britt Baker. It's one of the weirdest photos that I've ever seen. In fact, I don't think people could. You know what? I'll grab the photo and I'll put it on the screen during the show. I should be able to find it literally in 10 seconds, but it's like one of the creepiest photos because not only is Britt Baker's hand behind her back, but so is the fan. And you look at the guy, I'm going to find it right now. I guarantee you all I got to do is just search photos. Let me just put latest. I'll literally find it in 2 seconds. Yeah. Oh, I found. Oh, nope. That's different person. By the way, Charlotte did an autograph signing, I think, today. And it was interesting because they had her posing in like a little ring. It wasn't really a ring, but they had her posing in a ring. And everybody who posed with her were like several feet in front of her. And it just was funny. If anybody remembers when Ric Flair used to come out with Triple H, Ric Flair would always be like 20 feet behind Triple H. It reminded me of that so much. I can't believe that more people didn't post this creepy photo. Oh, I found it. Speaking of, all right, wait. Trust me, everyone. If you haven't seen this, this will be one of the highlights of the night. I promise you. I'm going to pull it up. Hold on. Wait till you see this, Mish. Even if there was an inside joke, I don't understand why somebody would do this. Check out this photo. Not only is the guy's hand behind her, but her hand is disappeared as well. I don't understand the logic of this photo. Like,
she's probably keeping his hand from touching anything.
That's just weird.
She's not grabbing his hand. His hand is back there, and it might not be on her ass, but maybe she's protecting her back. You know what I'm saying?
So you think she's got her hand on her ass, and he has his hand like touching her hand?
Right. Like in that scenario, dude shouldn't even be trying to touch her. Like he should be doing the Keanu Reeves, just hover, don't touch. But yeah, he does. He's clearly just going for it.
Yeah, I mean,
he's clearly just going for it. And I don't know if that's his sister or his girlfriend or his wife, but yeah, that's a little rough, dude.
That is.
He just got caught. He just got caught. You just caught this guy. This predator.
That is a creepy photo, man. That is just.
Yeah.
Even if
he looks like somebody, though, doesn't he?
Oh, like, I was just going to say.
At his face, don't look at his
I know
weight.
He looks like. That's why I thought of the picture. When you just posed as that Shrek thing, you look just like the guy.
No. He looks like somebody in wrestling, though. I'm trying to think, like. Shit.
Bruce Mitchell with gray hair?
Bruce
I don't know.
Mitchell, maybe.
I don't know. He just
no, not Bruce Mitchell. He does look like somebody. I just can't. I can't put my finger on it. But he's a guy who works as a staffer. I don't remember if it was with WWE or if it was with a different company, but he looks like somebody. So maybe he knows Britt. Like, do we know who the guy was or no?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
Seriously, that's just. See, even if there was a funny joke behind that. Like, I would never post a photo like that. That's just, like, weird. It's weird. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. Yeah. I saw that photo, and I'm like...
you should never
In 2021, you shouldn't be trying to grab a girl's ass on camera, period.
When her hand was gone, also, her left hand. Because the thing is that, it's like you picture you putting your hand behind your ass. It's like it's an awkward thing to do in the first place.
Right.
So
But that's why I think she was like this, on her backside. Yeah. That's what she was doing. She had it open and flat so that when the guy was trying to touch her,
I think,
or maybe he did touch her.
Yes.
Maybe he did touch her, smacked her ass, and she put her hand back there in order to separate that.
Yeah. I think maybe whether intentionally or unintentionally, when they were getting ready to post for the photo, he probably like inadvertently or maybe intentionally inadvertently tapped her ass with his hand, and she put her hand behind it, and he put like his hand on top of hers. That's just weird, man. Seriously. That's just weird.
He went for it.
Yeah. And if that's his wife, like, I would not be thrilled at that either.
She wasn't looking at the hand. She probably saw the hand afterwards.
Saw it now.
Right. But I mean, during the pictures, what's she going to see? She's looking straight ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this whole thing here took place without his wife or his sister knowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is just an odd picture. So let's answer one more super chat and then we'll fill in the blanks.
All right.
Because, now the show's starting to really run late. And I know some of you wanted to do calls, but, we're starting to really, really get short on time.
Sure.
𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗃, Paul and Kayla are great together. He could see them have a hit show. Just Paul's facial expressions and reactions are gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get where he's going on with this. Sure. Why not? One thing I wanted to mention too, props to Impact Wrestling. They're going to be doing the return of the Knockouts Knockdown. It's all women show. The only thing, I wish it would have been live, but they're doing a taping this weekend in Nashville. But they are going to be doing a knockout monsters ball in the memory of Daphne. So I think it's going to be the Daphne Memorial Knockouts Monsters Ball, which sounds awfully long sentence, but Mercedes Martinez, they already announced Mercedes Martinez for being in that match. So props to Impact Wrestling for doing that. I tell you, man, I know I'm a little biased about Daphne, but I'm a little disappointed that there was not even a graphic on AEW or Impact Wrestling. I mean, you would think cancer sucks, heart attack sucks, illness sucks, physical. But you would think when someone was battling severe depression and loneliness and takes their life, and there's a lot of people out there who are currently battling loneliness and depression, and even more of a reason that you show the graphic to show that you don't have to just be in the company to get a graphic, because they paid tribute to Bobby Eaton, and look, it's unfair to compare one to the other, but you would think, especially so people don't feel alone, like it is a tragedy, and there was a lot of unfortunate aspects to it that's never going to be pretty, but the lack of attention, I just thought that was a little bit terrible, in my opinion.
Well, I'm sure. No, never mind.
Yeah, there's really no answer to that. None. So, filling the blanks a little bit with Raw tonight. As you said earlier, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, the split is close to being complete. They're going to have a match next week. Right. Maybe Nia shooting a little bit with Charlotte. Maybe now that leads to Extreme Rules with her and Shayna. Little bare knuckles. I'm just saying.
That'd be nice.
Just saying. But tonight, Shayna Baszler takes on Charlotte. Nia's not happy about last week. But most important thing is they're on the same page today. And basically, Nia does to Shayna what Shayna did to Nia last week.
Right.
The only thing that was weird is we didn't have Nia beat the living shit out of Shayna on TV. Would they
Well, I
just
think
press
they're
for
saving
time?
that for next week.
Right.
Well,
But-
yeah, because they had to rush out Charly and Bliss and that whole Charlotte segment where we're supposed to, I don't know, cheer Bliss now.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Charlotte's back to being a
No.
full-fledged heel again.
Yes. No.
Yep.
Ugh.
Alexa with the gift for Charlotte. And Charlotte opens it up. And it is a Charly doll. And it is spelled CHARLY. Same spelling as Charly Caruso. Yeah, WWE selling it right now, $39.99. The interesting thing about it is these dolls will not be shipped until mid-November, around Thanksgiving. So if the feud with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss will be long gone, it's interesting that they're doing pre-orders for a doll that's not going to be shipped for 2 more months. Would you
It's
get
gonna
one?
be out there for a while, dude.
Would you get one for $39?
No. I'm not on board with that whole Bliss doll thing. I haven't been on board with the Lilly thing for a minute. I like Charlotte, but I don't know, man. I don't want a Charly doll. You know?
Well, I already threw it out there earlier to the person that sent me.
I
cool-
guarantee you somebody's going to buy it. They're
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
going to have buyers. Absolutely.
I bought this Seth Rollins shirt, by the way. I don't want anybody to think I got it as a gift. I got other things as gifts, but I bought the Seth Rollins. I wanted a Seth Rollins shirt just to troll people. So I got myself a Seth Rollins shirt. Needed to get at least one. But yeah, I mean, look, Charlotte's going to get a small portion of the revenue from that. So maybe it becomes a bestseller. Look, they got to merchandise to kids. Alexa Bliss is obviously kid-friendly. So now they're coming out with the Charly doll.
Yeah.
So
People like it. So, I mean, that's where it's going to go.
they could have a match at Extreme Rules. I'm not
Yeah, I
feeling
wouldn't
it.
be surprised. But, I mean, am I ready for Alexa Bliss to become champion? I don't know, man.
No. But I tell you, if we watched Raw tonight, that crowd was about 80% on Alexa's side. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
she got a big pop tonight. I mean,
Yeah,
that
she did.
We Want Bray stuff is gone away a lot quicker than I
surprised.
thought it would.
I was genuinely surprised that many people wanted Alexa Bliss out there. But I digress. So,
Yeah. Shout out to our VIP family here. If anybody wants to consider becoming a channel member, by all means, go check it out and see what it offers. By the way, the Q&A from Sunday, it is recorded, it is in the books, and I'm going to post it either tomorrow or Wednesday for everybody. So, and I thank you all my channel members that sent in questions for that episode. We'll do it again in about 2 weeks. So the Q&A will be posted tomorrow, Wednesday. By the way, for my Patreon family, as soon as we're done tonight, I'm going to post the finals in the favorite comic book tournament.
fuck yeah.
Very interesting. I don't want to give any hints away, but I think Batman is in the finals against someone else. And tomorrow we start the favorite comfort food tournament.
Yes.
So I just warn anybody who's going to tune in live tomorrow, make sure you eat, because when we start bringing up food tomorrow, 64 different types of food,
That's right.
it's going to be pretty wild. So there's a lot of hard choices to remove. Oh, I wanted to share this. Sometimes take my advice when it comes to investing. A lot of you may remember about 2 weeks ago, and I thank Pat McGrath, who is the one that brought this to my attention. AEW and Upper Deck were going to be debuting the first ever CM Punk AEW trading card. So 2 weeks ago, they were doing a pre-order for a couple of days. The card was $4.95, and it's going to be shipped out in about a month. And I said, get in on it. $4.95 for a CM Punk AEW Upper Deck card, his rookie AEW card, especially, with all of the momentum that he's on. And I'll show you the back of the card in a second. Yeah, here's the back of the card. So it was selling them $4.95 a piece. I bought, I think, 68 of them.
Jesus, DT.
I bought 60. Well, I figured you probably wanted a couple. I'd give a couple away, and I would want to keep at least 50 for myself. I bought them because I had a feeling they were going to go up in price. Right now on eBay, the current price that people are selling them for and getting it is $40 a card.
Wow.
I have
That's
68
insane.
of them. In 2 weeks, $4.95 turned into 40. And the card is not even released yet. So if anybody thinks that I'm BSing, go on eBay right now, type in CM Punk AEW Upper Deck card, $40.
Yeah.
So I am so tempted to put 50 cards on there and sell them $40 a pop. You know, I turned $400 into $2,400.
Why not?
So, yeah. So, but you know, I'm like I said, I'm going to keep some, send you a couple, give away a few. By the way, I want to give my friend John, friend of the show, he's sending me out another 3 or 4 CM Punk ice cream wrappers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he lives in downtown Chicago.
Okay.
So I gave him the address for the ice cream store that makes the bars. There's a lot of you, I told you about it. You can buy the ice cream bars from the place directly in Chicago.
Yeah.
You pay for it online, and you could pick them up. And the bars, I think, are $5 a piece.
Right.
So he said that if he buys like a case, he's going to ship them to me in dry ice. And if they come and they're not melted, I'll have a case of CM Punk ice cream bars. I will eat one live on the show, and maybe we'll try to figure out a way to give away 1 or 2 without, you know, it costing $100 to ship. So
it's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and this is, you know, the wrapper and everything. So
yeah.
What else did we get tonight on Raw? Oh, we had
Damian Priest
with the U.S. Open Challenge. Jeff Hardy accepts the challenge.
Did something happen in the middle of that match? Because towards the middle to the end of the match, Damian Priest missed that body scissors.
Yeah.
And he missed a couple other moves. Like, he almost seemed a little bit shaky.
Yeah.
Or something was going on. Did I miss something? Did something happen to Damian Priest?
There was one part in the match that we thought that Damian Priest got a little bit knocked for a loop.
Okay.
I rewound it. I didn't see any specific part. I looked, you know, people I conversed with online, and nobody really noticed anything either. So it could have just been an errant shot here and there, or maybe he just got a little bit woozy. But, you know, excellent match. Excellent match.
No,
I mean,
it was. They got to have a rematch now, too, especially if Priest wasn't working at 100%.
Yeah. So, you know, match went about 6 or 7 minutes. Damian Priest with the win. I just, look, man, you and I have sung the praise for Sheamus. His work the last year and a half, 2 years, has probably been the best work of his career.
Yes.
His matches with Drew McIntyre have been awesome, especially the one from early this year. But Damian Priest, I think, is 6-0 against Sheamus.
Yeah.
You know he's not beating Damian Priest at Extreme Rules, so I think this feud's got to die and die fast. It's not even a feud. I mean, I understand Sheamus lost the belt and everything, so sure, you know, they want to give
without
him...
giving anything away, Sheamus is one of the guys I think you definitely have to move to SmackDown.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that one for a while, and I know we're going to go through everything in a list, but Sheamus really he really needs to move.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, that's why I said earlier, I think at least Sheamus or Jinder, I don't think both, but one of those two is going to move to SmackDown.
That would make sense.
Yeah, and you'll see some matches continue with Drew, which will piss people off, but oh well.
Right.
Now remember too, Drew McIntyre now could fight for heavyweight title again, since Bobby Lashley's no longer the champion. So that's another one you could think about. Maybe Big E versus Drew McIntyre. That's possible. Speaking of Drew, he teamed up with the Viking Raiders earlier. They beat Jinder, Shanky, and Veer.
Yeah.
not much of a match, but I tell you, first time tonight that I ever thought about
Fine
this.
establishment. How you doing? I'm still in shorts. We're
Sorry.
That's okay. First time tonight I ever thought of this. I said, man, it would be a great moment to see the Viking Raiders turn on Drew.
Yeah.
The Viking Raiders, I think, need to turn heel. I think they need some new opponents. The draft is coming up, so maybe they just get moved to SmackDown, but I think I would have liked to see the Viking Raiders just clothesline Drew. I mean, obviously, you don't want to have another 2-on-1 with Drew winning, but the Viking Raiders, I watched that tonight, and I'm like, wow, talk about a team that is really going nowhere right now. That's how it felt like to me. So, match was not that great.
No, it wasn't. It was passable.
Yeah. Nikki Ash over Tamina.
Yeah, we
and
talked about that.
Rhea Ripley over Natalya. And as I said earlier, I felt bad for Nikki because ever since she became the superhero character, you know, she's won some beat the clock shit here and there, but I don't recall her having a one-on-one clean victory, straight up wrestling match. She pins Tamina tonight, and they play Tamina's music. And they announced Tamina as the winner, even though Nikki won. And if you didn't pay attention and watch the pin, you would have been really confused, because if you would have thought Tamina won, you look at Nikki's face, Nikki was smiling. And I even think Nikki had that look like, why are they playing Tamina's music? Didn't I win? But this is to set up a title match. And I think we're going to end up getting the 3 women tag teams at Extreme Rules. You know, Natty and Tamina, I mean, I know we both are really happy for Tamina, but man, their tag team title runs has sucked. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, it's been boring at best, but I like the outfit changes for Tamina. I think Tamina looks better than she ever has. It's just, although, okay, all right, guy moment. Did Natty get a boob job, or is her outfit just very chest-centric tonight?
I think she got a boob
wasn't
job.
sure.
I think she got a boob job a long time ago.
No, another one. Because she looked even bigger tonight than she did last week. So is it because of the outfit, or did she actually get some work done?
Maybe. I don't think she got any recent work done, because I watch some of the thumbnails that she puts up for like the videos she does with like a, I don't know, cousin, or I don't know who the girl is. Sister?
Yeah,
okay.
her sister. Yeah.
And
that was the same girl that Biggie was trying to go out with for a minute.
Yeah, and they're always revealing cleavage and stuff, and you know, you can't help but you notice.
You saw what she was wearing tonight. It was literally focusing around her chest, like it was opened up around her chest, and then her chest had a different outfit on underneath.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's the color scheming or what, but Natty looked extra busty
Yeah, I
tonight.
think if you push it together, I think they actually do.
Is that what it was? It was just pushed
it's
together?
like a push-up bra and stuff.
10 pounds of meat in a 5-pound bag?
Yeah, I mean, I remember my much younger days, you know, some girls back then would wear like
I
the
don't know,
push-up
dude.
bra.
But during that match, I'll be honest, I was craving milk. I don't know why. I just had a horrible craving for some milk. I was like, I'm watching Natty and Tamina wrestle, and I see Ray out there, and all I'm thinking to myself is, man, I could really go for some 2% milk around here. It's crazy. I'm just sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
Yeah. I did hear Jimmy Smith call Rhea and Nikki the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
You know, it's
yeah, well, it wasn't Nikki Ash tonight either, by the way. It was Nikki AHS. So,
yeah,
as according to Sonya. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was a lot of little flubs tonight. You know, it happens. It happens. I didn't think much of it. Since we're talking about milk,
yes,
Doudrop, because Doudrop does use the term double D on her social media, so we're not being
newly
perverts here.
The newly wed Doudrop too.
Yeah, she got married over the weekend.
That's right.
Cute photos from what I saw. Cute. She beat Eva Marie.
Yes.
And honestly, dude, I originally
Speaking of milk.
Yeah, I try not to be a douche on Twitter anymore.
It's not a douche thing. I mean, these women are paying lots of money. They are paying exorbitant amounts of money in order to enhance their bodies, DT. I don't understand why I would look like a douchebag if I was to sit there and look them in the eye and go, hey, Natty, so everything's fine at home, right? No changes here? And just completely ignore the amount of money and time and care that they spend on their bodies. Eva Marie included. Eva Marie, clearly working very hard working woman. And I, for one, appreciate a nice glass of milk every once in a while.
I did want to write anything nasty tonight on social media because I was enjoying Raw a lot.
Sure.
But I watched Eva Marie especially take that back bump before Doudrop ever got close to clotheslining her. And as I'm watching that match, all I kept thinking in my head were all those insiders that told us many months ago that they had friends that had been training with Eva Marie in the schools, and Eva Marie is, quote, knocking it out of the park.
Sorry.
I mean,
that was a random reaction.
I watched that match closely today, and I just kept thinking to myself, like, yeah, I don't think so. In fact, Doudrop either has to debut someone else as a protege to take out Doudrop, or Eva Marie. I don't know how much longer she lasts. I mean, she's really, I have nothing against her, but I would not be surprised if we hear that she had signed a very, very short-term deal with WWE, because I don't know where you go from here. She's going to have to manage somebody. Could she manage Nia?
Maybe. I mean, they could easily do something like that with her, but Eva Marie in the ring feels like a wrestler from a bygone era. Eva Marie's in-ring style is more reminiscent of one of the words that you can't say in WWE anymore, but we know it as the Divas era. And Eva Marie fits that kind of a bill. Eva Marie is not a ring-tested veteran. She's not a girl that you would go to and go, that is an exemplary female talent on the roster. Eva Marie's best attributes was not milk, but it was the fact that she was able to troll the WWE audience for so long initially and get quite over from it because people wanted to see her get her ass kicked. WWE let that cat out of the bag real quick on this go through, and I thought that they were going to keep it going. I mean, when they opened up, if we think all the way back to those few months ago when she re-debuted by having Eva Marie wrestle for her. Before she was named Doudrop, it was Eva Marie and Eva Marie. And that was the initial of the trolling that WWE was doing. And it kind of gave me hope, thinking that, okay, WWE understands how to use Eva Marie. They're going to use her in order to say fuck you to the WWE audience, but in a way that everybody can enjoy. Because who doesn't like getting yelled at by a hot woman? But they fell short with her. They creatively stopped, and they started kind of going in on themselves. I don't know what changed with that direction. Maybe they weren't happy with it. Maybe they weren't happy with everybody online very angry that Eva Marie was actually Piper Niven, you know, and just people not getting the fucking joke of it all. Yeah. Which doesn't surprise me because we see how social media has been lately. But I don't see much of a future for her anyways, DT. I mean, she's not a wrestler. You could absolutely have her as a valet or a manager, but if you're going to have her as a manager, then who does she manage?
Have Nia Jax take out Doudrop.
Why couldn't she manage somebody like Karrion Kross? Why couldn't she manage somebody like... I'm throwing out names on purpose, but why couldn't she manage a Baron Corbin?
Keith Lee.
Happy Corbin.
Keith Lee.
No, but Happy Corbin would make sense. Happy Corbin's up on his luck. Eva Marie is, what do they call that? A gold digger? I mean, seems like a match made in heaven.
Yeah. I like Nia Jax is the idea. especially now with her breaking away from Shayna. I could see Eva Marie maybe doing something. There's so many possibilities.
And once again, we got the draft coming up. So this could literally be the end of Doudrop and Eva Marie, and they might go to different rosters. This could very well be the beginning of the end. Yeah. But maybe not the end of Eva Marie. But I don't know. I'm kind of stuck with that one, DT, because clearly she works very hard in WWE. You can tell by the way she looks.
Yeah, she earns a pay.
She's very centric. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, would anybody be upset if we didn't take calls tonight? Only because, we're starting to run really super late. Oh, okay. And I think a lot of you out there would rather us touch on a couple of additional topics.
Sure.
And we could always take calls on Wednesday if you want, Thursday.
Yeah.
So, Benjamin, Eva does work hard. Look, Eva's not paid to be a technical wrestler. She's paid to take a couple of moves, couple of bumps, hit a couple of shots, but she's not good. But she's not brought in to be good. She's not brought in to be good.
She is not brought in to be good. That is the nicest way you could say that.
Yeah, I mean, look, people are brought in for different reasons. Now, as far as Scarlett, I'll repeat what Mish and I said 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Give it 2 to 3 weeks. I know there's a lot of people out there that, they do this for a living as far as being journalists, but over 25 years, I have accumulated some friends in wrestling, some people that'll send me little things here and there. And, look, with that stuff, with Kross, with the mask and everything else, I was told what the end game was supposed to be. I'm not going to go out there and throw it out there and have everybody shit on it or praise it. Then if it changes, makes him look like a goof, I can't be trusted, with being told stuff from people. But, I was told, give it a couple of weeks, and then we'll revisit it. And you see Kross, basically lashing out to people with his mask Twitter comment. And then today, him transitioning into, where he wants to go. I mean, it's WWE's decision to have him wear what he wears. But, be happy tonight that when you saw him outside the ring, he wasn't wearing Fred Flintstone outfit. He didn't have like the Viking Raiders turkey leg.
Yeah, right.
He didn't have a club, around him or wearing fur. He wasn't there. He wasn't there talking like Captain Caveman. He was talking like the methodical New Yorker with a little bit of Sean O'Hare mixed in, as we said before.
He was a little bit sinister tonight. I'll be honest. He wasn't sounding like a New Yorker tonight. He was sounding straight up sinister.
Yeah.
He sounded like he was going back a little bit to the Karrion Kross of NXT. He gave me those vibes like, he's not here to wrestle. He's here to fucking hurt people. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I like that guy. That's the guy I like. That's the guy I plunked down money for.
See, when I saw a couple of assholes on his Twitter, the thing is, and this is what I think a lot of people need to remember, WWE's not going to rush things based on how fast we want things to be done. If you want to watch WWE, you have to accept the fact that something that you and I may want to see transition in 3 weeks, it may take 5 or 6 weeks.
Sure.
Whether it's Big E winning the championship or Karrion Kross going back to his roots a little bit more, or this or anything else, and again, people out there know this. They know this. Look, when you see Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley, when you see Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley taking on Natty and Tamina the last 2 weeks,
right?
You got these people, that do shows, write blogs, have websites, do news, and they're like, WWE, fucking 𝗕𝗫 𝗕𝗏𝗪𝗀𝗳 and Tegan Knox. They won how many matches? Why are they not getting an opportunity? What the fuck is wrong with you? They know damn well that in order to have Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash be a contender as well, they have to get a couple of wins too.
Yeah.
That's why we got the last 2 weeks. Now you know what'll happen. Someone will write tonight. I already wrote it because I want to see the match, but you'll have someone write tonight, you know what? At this fucking pace, since Tegan Knox and 𝗕𝗫 already are technically number one contenders, then you should just do a 3-way. This way everybody gets an opportunity. Then it gets advertised. See, everybody, I fucking figured it out. See, I told you. It's not brain surgery. There's a reason why they're taking on these two women the last 2 weeks.
And do we really want to rush everything? I mean, that's the other thing, too. I understand that the big thing right now is just to put everybody out on the screen at once and debut everybody and debut all these matches. But don't you feel like we need a little bit of time to, like, let this simmer, let it grow a little bit?
Michael J. Eggplant.
Yeah.
Michael J. Eggplant. You do look like an alien now.
A little bit.
Yeah. I can't look at the screen sometimes.
All right, sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, I'm just joking. So this is why they're doing it. People know that this is going to lead to multi-teams taking on Natty and Tamina. You know, Tegan and 𝗕𝗫 are still new to the main roster, and they're just getting their feet wet. Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley is a makeshift team because Rhea Ripley, they're not putting her in the title hunt right now for a singles title. So they're doing a little storyline with Nikki Ash. And guess what? As weird as it may come across, the last 2 weeks, I think fans have adapted to Nikki Ash a little bit more. She's getting more cheers now than she got two weeks ago.
She is.
So
she's starting to warm up. People are starting to warm up to Nikki AHS. You know, it's just... Oh man, my audio only friends out there, you missed a funny fucking show tonight. Look, we pushed the video side of this, even though about 85% of you still only access audio only. But if there was ever an episode just to see Mish like in a different element, and you know what you realize from tonight, Mish has got nice teeth. If you notice, he's got nice teeth. My teeth look horrible compared to that. People called it chiclet teeth. They said I got Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant had chiclet teeth. He would laugh. It looked like little chiclets. So Rhea gets the win over Natty. Nikki gets the win over Tamina. And I think by Friday we'll have some type of an announcement with Sonya Deville with this tag team title picture. We had an 8-man tag tonight. I'll be honest with you. It was a fun match while it lasted. I just thought it was totally unnecessary this week. You had AJ Styles, Omos, T-Bar, and Mace. They beat Mansoor, Ali, and the New Day.
Oh, that was such a pass match. They need to figure out something better for T-Bar and Mace. I feel like they're just stuck in the doldrums. I don't know. What are they going to do with that? You know what? We'll talk about it Saturday, but they need to move too. They need to move and start somewhere fresh and start screwing with people and be the heel tag team that we know that they can be.
See, after having tag team turmoil last week and having the match divided into 2 segments, the opening match and then the closing match, it took up a lot of Raw last week. And then they continued it this week again with an 8-man tag. That's why, like I said, it was funny. It's funny because, look, you and I even talked about it. 3 weeks ago, the buzz going around with Raw, if anybody remembers, the buzz going around was that WWE was not going to keep giving us the same matches over and over again. That they were really trying to mix it up. And the first one that we got teased was going to be Sheamus versus Bobby Lashley for the following week. The following week comes and that match does not go down. Instead, we pretty much get variations of the same shit that we've gotten the last 2 weeks. Because WWE, that's just their formula. If they try to go against their own formula, it may last a week or two, but when it's deeply embedded in the creative process and all the decision makers there, they're not going to have an epiphany. I think people realize Bruce Pritchard's not going to wake up tomorrow, or Vince or Triple H or anyone else, By the way, I hear that Triple H is doing very, very well. Do not be surprised if you hear that Triple H is at NXT tomorrow. I'm not saying he's going to be there, but do not be surprised if you hear that happen. So he is doing well. And thank God people let up with the heart attack BS. I think people now realize
that was gross, dude. I mean, look, for any fan to sit there and wish Triple H death or say that the reason that he had a heart attack was because Vince forced him to is just absolutely gross. You should be embarrassed of yourself at that point. Yeah. Wishing another person death because you don't like what? His character, his creative decisions. You don't like the fact that he's married to the McMahons. He's a McMahon himself now. Like, I don't know. I don't even understand that. I think it's just very immature people that don't really gauge what's going on and just say shit for brownie points. Yeah. You know?
I'm with you on that. I mean, you know, cardiac event is serious stuff. Anybody that follows on a weekly basis knows. You know, my father had one a couple of weeks ago. A lot of you have had relatives get it. You know, it could be a wider range of things. It could have been simple lightheadedness. It could have been pain around the chest area. It could have been extreme drowsiness. Could have been something. It could have been something with the heartbeat. But for people to not understand the difference between cardiac event and cardiac arrest, you know, that was just wild. I mean, it's just I just thank God he's doing better because he's definitely an important part. And you know, say what you want about WWE's product or even NXT's or anything like that. You know, you see anybody that comes up, especially through NXT. I know it gets a little comedic with Triple H with the pictures always pointing to the person, but at the end of the day, everybody that comes up, 95% of the time, they have nothing but praise and love for this guy. Right. I mean, he really looks out for the people there. At the end of the day, though, he is a McMahon, not by blood, but he is a McMahon, and he is management and an executive in WWE, and they all, you know, come from the same cloth. You know, he is a little bit more sympathetic, and he tries, but at the end of the day, he's got a seat at the table like everybody else. So, so we already talked about Doudrop over Eva Marie in the main event. Bobby Lashley beating Randy Orton. You know, this match started around 10:40, 10:39. And I thought that it was an interesting time because I didn't think the match was going to go 20 minutes. And it was a fun match. You have Riddle at ringside, MVP, you know, with his cane around ringside. MVP ends up eating an RKO. In the end, you know, there's a table spot. Bobby Lashley selling a little bit of pain from the knee area, but he does defeat Randy Orton. Nice spear. I think the crowd loved the match. I thought the match was very good. I don't think anybody thought Randy Orton was going to win the belt, but it was very interesting.
They did a good tease for it, though. I was okay with the tease. I mean, there was a part of me that kind of wanted Orton to win it, and then to see Big E and Orton kind of square off for a half a second there. So that's why I hope it eventually ends up in a three-way.
Yeah,
with Orton kind of in the mix, but who knows?
You know, you know, all throughout the night, you have Big E teasing that he's going to cash in.
Right.
I like the segment with Xavier Woods and Kofi. You know, just, you know, psyching each other up, you know, for his match. And, you know, you know, as we talked about it earlier, it seemed like Big E, okay, he's going to go out there alone. The only thing I didn't like, and I think this is something, I can't remember another time where it was this long. When someone cashes in the briefcase,
right,
the referee calls for the bell immediately.
Yes.
The referee calls for the bell. So now we got Big E comes out and everybody's getting super, super excited. Bobby Lashley is selling the knee. He's got this look on his face like, what the fuck? I can't have a match. My knee is killing me. And we go to commercial. And I'm saying to myself, one of the most favorite things about cashing in the briefcase is everything is spontaneous.
Right.
Champion in the ring, a little bit incapacitated, sometimes almost knocked out. Challenger comes out with the briefcase. You know, everybody's starting to get excited. Holy shit, holy shit. Sometimes we get let down that, you know, somebody will interfere and the briefcase is never cashed in. But this time, Big E gives the briefcase to the referee. The referee tells the announcer, you know, and he announces Big E is cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Everybody's erupting, and I'm having flashbacks of Dolph Ziggler. I'm having flashbacks of Edge and others. And that spontaneous ring the bell when the champion is not ready. What's going on? Ring the bell.
Whole hype. That's right. Exactly. You're missing that element tonight. I totally agree with you.
That was
because that was always the big element. And it was even, well, because you know what really set that up? Because Big E went and fucked with both of them earlier in the night. It would have been, even though they knew it was coming, it still should have been now. Now the referee's out there. Here's Big E. Even though you know it's coming, it's still coming. You know what I mean? This felt like they had to reset the match. Everybody had to get back in their corners. It's like, that's not how this is supposed to go.
Yeah. That was the only thing I didn't like about it tonight. You know, that spontaneous, we knew it was coming, but it still felt like a surprise. When you when you see the briefcase leaving the wrestler's hands and the referee grabs it, people pop because that's one step closer of the match being official. And then when he gives it, puts it aside and he tells the announcer and he announces it, that's when everybody starts getting batshit. And then we go to fucking commercial.
Yep.
And that was the only thing tonight. I'm like, come on, man. You're supposed to, you know, big ending, go for the 2 count, spear, punch, miss, this, boom, 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 boom. They should have had a final commercial break before he defeated Randy Orton. If they needed to do a late commercial break, they should have done that commercial break right before the pin. Then you do this spontaneous. This is the only thing that I hated about this tonight. You know, seeing them go to commercial, I can only imagine how that crowd felt watching Big E for about 3.5 minutes, just pacing back and forth.
Just pay. What is he doing? Like calling out to the crowd? It's just, it was horrible.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. At all. So, what's that supposed to be?
I don't know.
You guys sent me that app. You guys sent me that app. I'm going to mess around with it this week.
It's Baby Mish.
Is it Baby Mish?
Yeah, it's Baby Mish.
But, you know, Big E with a couple of big endings. First one for a 2 count. You know, Bobby, did you ever think at one point that Lashley was going to beat him? I was wondering if 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗃 and Mace were going to come out after all the shit with the New Day.
Well, this was when I told you earlier, I thought that you might have had New Day run in there and turn on Big E because of that weird thing that was said earlier. So, yes. And then it would have been interesting to see New Day hug MVP, hug Bobby Lashley, and now they've reestablished the Hurt Locker, Hurt Business.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been, to me, I would have I would have loved that. But instead, you know, like, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy Big E has a championship. But that level of screw job would have been amazing. The fallout from that would have been amazing. Because now Big E doesn't have just Bobby Lashley to screw with. Now he has to go against his old teammates. And then you could have went on for weeks about why in the hell did Kofi and Xavier turn on their best friend. And it's like, I just, yeah. So earlier in the night, I'm like, well, this might be after Friday. Monday Night Raw might have a really big event. So that's what I was kind of hoping. It didn't happen, but
Speaking of Friday, we're going to start bringing this home, everybody. Speaking of Friday, Brock Lesnar The segment he did with Roman Reigns was phenomenal.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, everything about that night, was just fun. It was smooth. It shows you that the roster is not, very lean. And, if you just let people just go at it, not overthinking stuff, it just seems to flow better.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're holding off Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. I don't even know if Roman Reigns is going to be going to Saudi Arabia. They obviously are going with the Demon Balor, which, which kind of is going to kind of suck only because I don't think the Demon's ever lost, so I don't see him defeating Roman Reigns. But Brock Lesnar, it doesn't seem like he's going to have a match at Extreme Rules, but I ask you this. Ultimately, they are going to have a match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Do you think there's any possibility, and we'll talk more about the draft next week, but do you think there's any possibility that Bobby Lashley gets drafted to SmackDown so we get that match with him and Brock Lesnar? Or do you think,
Oh, wow.
I'm going to throw a real curveball here that I guarantee no one has thought about. Do you think that there is a possibility that Brock Lesnar gets drafted to Raw and we never get the match between him and Roman Reigns because they drafted him to Raw? And now that match doesn't happen.
I mean, that could happen, but that would be shooting themselves in the foot because they brought Brock Lesnar back literally to face Roman Reigns. They brought him back, and the Paul Heyman storyline has been the focal point between the tribe and the tribal chief and the Usos and Brock. So to just rip that storyline apart because of a draft, I wouldn't be a fan. Bobby Lashley going to SmackDown, though, if Bobby Lashley doesn't win his title back at Extreme Rules, which I think is where we're going with that, him going to SmackDown could be really interesting because it wouldn't just be him. It would be him and MVP. And I would love to see the power struggle between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman versus Bobby Lashley and MVP.
Yeah.
Two top heels struggling for the alpha spot on SmackDown. That could be fun too, man. Just saying.
You could even do a three-way if you wanted.
Yeah, you could.
I just, and by the way, I talking about Finn Balor, talking about the main roster, not talking about NXT. Yeah. So I just want to make that clear. But I tell you, what an odd decision to put Finn Balor against Roman Reigns. Because, I guess we could bring this up quick. I know there was a lot of discussion this past week about Roman Reigns and Kenny Omega. Who's number one? Because Pro Wrestling Illustrated chose Kenny Omega as number one. And a lot of people have a problem with that. Especially because Kenny Omega has been more of a sports entertainer than anything else the last 6-7 months. But when I look at Roman Reigns and I look at Kenny Omega, this is how I look at both of them. To me, Kenny Omega is an elite wrestler. Top of his game, could pull out 5-star matches whenever he wanted to. Kenny Omega is an elite wrestler. Roman Reigns is an elite storyteller. And I think that's the difference between the two more than anything else. And because it's wrestling at the end of the day, I think, having a little bit of storytelling, but having charisma also and being decent on the mic, but killing it in the ring with wrestling ability, I think that I do not have a problem with Kenny Omega being ranked number one. But Roman Reigns has a fair argument for those out there that feel that way towards Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is a better storyteller, but Kenny Omega does not need to be that level of a storyteller. And the fact, and this is where I'm going, so I'm trying to hit two birds with one stone. You look at Roman Reigns' championship run for 365 days, And a good chunk of it have been against opponents that we truly never thought in any chance whatsoever that he was losing this title. And I think when that happens, that's when I don't think that his opponents have been extremely solid. His feud with Jey Uso was great. His feud with Kevin Owens was great. His WrestleMania stuff was great. But, I look at Roman Reigns' resume to last year, and I look at Kenny Omega's resume to last year as far as matches go. I don't even think it's close. I think Kenny Omega is leaps and bounds higher, as far as more of a reason to be number one. How do you feel about that?
The honest truth, or the guy that's supposed to defend Roman Reigns?
No, the honest truth.
The honest truth is the PWI 500 is a list made up by people with various criteria for their own opinions, and whoever's number one is just because they think it gets them more exposure to the audience that will purchase their magazine.
No, I agree.
I'm pretty sure that's not the answer you wanted, but that's absolutely the answer of what this is. The reason that Kenny Omega was number one and Roman Reigns is number two is to entice people to either pick up the mag or entice people to talk about it online over the controversy of it. And it's worked. It's worked. So
I tell this off and on through the years. In 2005 and 2006, I could have been in the PWI 500. If I paid a fee.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I swear on my mom. I still have the emails. I have the emails from, that, I forget that website that does the wrestling awards every year. Why I don't take part in them, because I still have those emails from 16 years ago when they say, we don't really take them seriously. I was like, well, fuck you then. I'm not going to take it seriously either.
Right.
But no, PWI back then, if you sent in your information with a little bio and you paid a fee, you could be in the PWI 500. I could have been in there for 05 and 06. In fact, I found 2 Minority Report episodes where we had like some good laughs out of it that I came this close to doing it in 05 just to be in there, but I didn't do it.
That's cool though. Seriously, that's so cool to even be a part of that for a second.
Yeah, I know.
Sir.
But you want to know something? There is I don't want to say the website yet, but there is a website that it's almost like a wiki for wrestling, and somebody there set up a profile for me, which I thought was pretty cool for the manager stuff and everything like that. And even though my record is officially 3-0 as far as having matches, but not very good ones, but still,
So
one day I'll post it. Is that there's no way they're having a belt like that. Not even for a women's championship.
Dude, I think that's somebody photoshopping their impression.
Yeah, probably to mock it.
Right. It's just a gimmick, but still, it would be very, very hard to watch if that was the title, DT. I just got to be honest. That would be very difficult.
Do you think the wedding comes off tomorrow between Indi Hartwell and Dexter Lumis?
What do you mean it comes off?
Do you think they complete the wedding on storyline? Do you think they
it's going to be a mess. Yeah, it's going to be a total mess. Wrestling weddings are supposed to be messy.
Right, but do you think they'll actually get married in storyline tomorrow? I think Indi Hartwell gets cold feet and she says no.
Oh, that could be funny, dude.
I think Dexter Lumis.
That could be funny.
He's going to say I do. And then when it goes to her, she's going to just get really, really nervous. And you're going to hear the crowd go, yes, yes, yes. Right. And I think she's going to say, I can't.
No.
Maybe Austin Theory tries to stop the wedding too. Maybe we get some weird curveball tomorrow.
Yeah, because that's the weird thing too, is that she's been really into it. I would be more surprised if Lumis would be the one to say no.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, that would be interesting, dude.
I think something with Austin Theory is going to happen tomorrow. They've been awfully quiet with Austin Theory with this, more than usual, But look, I tell you, man, as far as ratings this past week, because a bunch of you have been saying, once a week we should just post the ratings. I just want to give everybody just an overview of what the ratings look like the last 7 days. Now, when we have ratings go up or down, I'm going to just give you percentage. Because if Impact goes down 10,000 viewers, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 10% of their audience. So rather than get into how many viewers they're up or down, I think the percentage tells a better story. But for the last 7 days, Raw last week compared to the week before, Raw last week did 1,849,000 viewers, which was down 3%. Not a big deal. NXT last week only did 601,000 viewers. That was a 16% drop. I think they recover this week, but AEW Dynamite last week did 1,319,000 viewers, up 26%. Impact Wrestling last week did 111,000 viewers, down 11%. SmackDown last week did 2,383,000 viewers, up 7%. Rampage this past Friday did 670,000 viewers, down 4%. And I think people need to let up with Rampage because we said all along they're probably going to average around 600,000 viewers, give or take a little bit. It's Friday night, 10 p.m. Rampage was never supposed to be the third hour of Dynamite. So, people need to let up. Yeah, 2 weeks ago they did 1.2 million, whatever it is. I think people say, they should do 1.8 million. They're crazy. Oh, is that the website for the ice cream bar?
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, I can show you Yeah, that's the ice cream bar. That's if any of you live in Chicago, you could buy the ice cream bar, $5.75. You could actually pick it up at the store, and
it's that pretty cool ice cream.
Yeah. Did you see the other ice creams they have for sale? They got some interesting.
Yeah, they got
choices.
some good ones. They got like a lot of Pride bars and stuff like that for Pride Month and the Gay Pride Parade, and they got like a lot of crazy flavors too. They got simple flavors and they got crazy flavors. So
So
$5.75. To be fair, the CM Punk bar is the most expensive bar that they have. Single bar. So,
but you know what? I continue what I said last week. If anybody looks at this really close, all right, if you go on Pretty Cool's website, you will find that gray wrapper where it says Pretty Cool in white lettering on the bottom, and the top where it says Made in Chicago, 100% delicious. That same wrapper is used on other ice cream bars. That is not used just for the CM Punk. So my point was, you take a $2 ice cream bar, not even, you use the same wrapper that you use for other ice cream bars you sell, and all you do is get Avery labels, and they're just printing on a computer printer the labels for the CM Punk bar, and they just slap the label on it, and they triple the price, and that's how you make money. So I don't see anything wrong with it. If people are willing to pay that kind of price, absolutely. So everyone, with that said, I think we're done. I guess we realize now when we have very big things go down in wrestling, it's going to be a little difficult at times to take calls. We obviously, the days of doing 3-4 hours.
We had a fun night. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was going on tonight.
Awesome.
I mean, I think people will be happy to take calls next time. But I mean, it was a big night tonight. You had to definitely go into the fact that Big E is the new Raw champion.
And that's awesome. So. New Day is reformed. We'll see what transpires over the next week. SmackDown this Friday. I mean, they're going to just continue what they're building to Extreme Rules. I think Becky Lynch did her job beautifully. I think Bianca catching that contract, as tiny as that was, I thought that was a cool moment. Her catching it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, SmackDown was pretty damn good this past Friday. The Garden crowd was awesome. The Boston crowd tonight was fun. And again, it's not, people need to lighten up. They're not good right now because of AEW or vice versa. what I think everybody should do is just enjoy whatever you enjoy with wrestling and be loud about it. Be loud and proud. But if you like something that other people don't, or vice versa, I don't think anybody should be criticized for it. Not everybody's going to like AEW. Not everybody's going to like WWE. And I guarantee there's some people out there that probably don't like either one. So, So, Mish, pleasure as always, my friend.
Oh, no,
I will, tomorrow, Patreon off the cuff, which means, we don't have to get into too many questions early on. We'll do the winner of the comic book tournament. We'll start the comfort food. We'll talk NXT because there are going to be some big things coming out of there. We'll see who becomes the next NXT champion. And everybody who tunes in live will be interactive with all of you all throughout the night tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
Much love, my friend. I'll talk to you tomorrow night.
Bye, guys. Take it
care.
easy.
Be well. Everyone, don't forget, Mish, Joey Numbers, Wrestling Soup every Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. You could get the details at WrestlingSoup.com. And for me, there you go. For me, I will be live tomorrow night on Patreon with Mish at 10:05 p.m. If you want to check out our Patreon page, it's patreon.com/Don Tony. You go on there, there's hundreds of Patreon exclusive shows that have never been made public. You also get ad-free shows of everything else that we offer here online. If that doesn't interest you, I'll be here Wednesday night. We'll cover Dynamite. We'll obviously cover NXT, the big moments that come out of NXT. And we'll see how the night goes. Maybe we could take some calls Wednesday like we did last week. If not, Thursday night, obviously, all night long, we'll be taking calls. I'm sure a lot of you will have a lot of things to say. And, next Saturday, mark it down, 8 p.m. next Saturday, Mish will be joining me. So we will have a dual hosted show. We'll talk SmackDown, we'll talk Rampage, and we will focus a large part of the show giving our ideas, predictions, fears of what's going to go on with the draft. And we'll mix in a contest. What the prize will be, I don't know. I'm going to think about it. This past Saturday, I gave away a $100 gift card from 9/11. We did a contest that, put it this way, for anybody that goes back with me at least 15 years, this Photoshop you will definitely remember. Let me see if I can pull it up. Where is it? I know you are lurking. Where are you? Oh, you got to be kidding me. How does this picture get disappeared? Wow. It's impossible. The Photoshop originally with the Ring of Honor incident with Feinstein back in the day, which ended up being mostly false, but it was the first Photoshop that I ever did. And I found it. See, being persistent always pays off. Who remembers this Photoshop that I did back in the day? That I think was the first ever Photoshop that I ever did. That was 17 years ago? And we did a trivia contest about a quote. Everybody focuses on Stephanie McMahon's dopey comment about 9/11, that her family, what they went through was 9/11. Well, a lot of people forget that 𝗕𝗿𝗀 talked about that same thing with Ring of Honor, that what happened with them with Feinstein was their 9/11 moment. And for real. And I tell you, you can pay money online. You pay a service, and they can remove things from history. And I swear to you, I spent a good half an hour surfing exact phrases. I could not find the 9/11 comment that Gabe made about Ring of Honor and what happened with Feinstein. I had to go back to Wayback Machine and go on my website from, I think it was like August of 2004, around there. And lo and behold, the quote was there. But it's amazing. I am convinced that this guy paid money to get that removed from online. And honestly, I don't throw shade to 𝗕𝗿𝗀 anymore. I mean, that's years and years ago. Guy's not a bad guy. But as I always say, nobody in wrestling is as innocent as everybody portrays them to be, even your favorites. So anyway, everyone, have a great night. Much love as always. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. You know, really great night for Raw. Great night to be a wrestling fan. Great week. Hell, great 30 days to be a wrestling fan. I mean, how do you not feel a little bit spoiled with what we got over the last month? And the best part is Daniel Bryan hasn't even wrestled yet for AEW. CM Punk has only had one match. Andrade, Idolo, has only had 2 matches, but him and Pac tore up Rampage the other day. Had an awesome match. Awesome match. A lot of people think that he's now going to bring in Ric Flair to be in his corner since Chavito is no longer. But a lot of things to cover tonight. So, no, not going to take any calls tonight. So we'll hold off, like I said, either Wednesday or Thursday, because it's totally unfair to open the phone lines for one person and then another person, and we're already running 2.5 hours. So here in New York, it's 1:32 a.m., and by the time I put all the shows up tonight, it's going to be 2:30, and by the time I fall asleep, it's 3:30, and then I got to get up at 6:30. So I got to get a little bit of sleep. But no, we will definitely be doing that marathon soon. And you know what? I'm glad we didn't do it yet because of everything that's now going down in wrestling. So, you know, I think maybe in a couple of months, I see that happening. We'll do it mostly for charity. Definitely want to get something out of it. But all right, everybody, I'm out of here. Much love as always. And join me tomorrow on Patreon if you want. Patreon.com/Don Tony. If not, Wednesday night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern. I'll be right here talking AEW and NXT. And be well, everybody. Stay safe and talk to you soon. Ciao.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.